Welcome to another edition of the Red Zone podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Point du jour, and what a week we just had in week 10. Incredible. I mean, we had 4 games on, we had 2 game-winning drives, and 2 game-winning field goals. Just an incredible week. High-scoring games. We had an overtime game. We had a comeback. It was just phenomenal. So we're going to break down all of those teams in the tiers this week as we get started at the bottom and we have a new basement dweller. It is the Toronto Argonauts. And I said finding new ways to lose. Against Ottawa, you had a 22-1 lead. 22-1 in the first quarter. And then the second quarter, you basically gave all that away. I mean, at halftime, the score was 25-19. Ottawa took the lead in the third quarter. Then it kind of went back and forth. And then in the fourth quarter there, Drew Brown led the game-winning drive for Ottawa. There was still time left, but Nick Arbuckle threw an interception, ending the game. Ottawa wins 46-42. But this is not the first time Toronto has blown a lead. I mean, they did it against Montreal a few weeks ago. They had a 17 or 15 point lead, and then here comes Montreal in the second half. And at the end of the game, Davis Alexander runs in for a touchdown, and they win the game. But the reason why, they're struggling, they're blowing leads like this, isn't really because of the offense. Yes, it struggled at times, but it's mainly the defense giving up big plays, and a lot of them. I mean, they lead the league in big plays given up, I think at 34 or something like that. And that includes kickoff return, punt return. That includes that as well. And they have the most, which is not really surprising when you look at the games and you see their defense is allowing a 40-yard touchdown or whatever in one big play. And that needs to, come down a little bit. You cannot be allowing one play touchdowns and then when the offense just had momentum or when the offense would just score a touchdown. So, they've been struggling defensively. Wynton McManus has been not the same player, I think, because of the injury. Hopefully he can get back up to form. But Ryan Dinwiddie was not happy after the game on Saturday, just going off on his team. Hey, the last time he went off on his team, they responded and they got a win. So let's see what can happen this weekend against, who do they play? The Elks in Edmonton, if they can pick up a win there, because their offense has been good, but their defense, that's what's been struggling. So we'll see what happens. The next tier, we have the Edmonton Elks and the Ottawa Red Blacks, and I put new life because both of these teams are feeling it right now. I mean, Edmonton came off a win. Cody Fajardo, his second revenge game in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks against Montreal in Montreal, where he won a Grey Cup back in 2023, and he went down the field and got that game-winning drive, and that touchdown pass went to Keon Julian Grant. How about that? Keon had the drop in the end zone. It was going to be a for sure touchdown. I talked about it last week. This time, he redeems himself. He gets into the end zone, fighting off defenders, and wins the game for the Alouettes. A perfect kind of story there. And then for Ottawa, they are now on a 2-game winning streak after beating Calgary last week. They beat Toronto, and I talked a bit about the game. 46 points. Drew Brown was incredible. 5 touchdown passes, over 370 yards, and a great completion percentage, going 26 for 31. They were able to run the ball 84 yards, which is great. William Stanback, you have to use him, and they did. 17 carries on the night as well, and then that receiving core was awesome. Braylon Addison, 115 yards. Justin Hardy, 106, and Geno Lewis, 51, but he did have 2 touchdowns for the game. So really good performance by Ottawa, and Ottawa's right back in it for the East Division playoff race there. The third place spot, because it's up for grabs right now. Good for them. I mean, really good for these two teams. We'll see what Edmonton can do because the last time, they came off of a win, their first win of the season, the next week they had one of the worst weeks of the season for them. And Trey Ford got benched, Cody Fajardo came in. So let's hope that they can have a better week off of a win than they did last time. Moving on to the next tier, we have the Montreal Alouettes. Bye bye Macbeth. Is it over for McLeod Bethel Thompson? Who knows? I mean, today they signed Cameron Dukes, and McLeod Bethel Thompson was moved to the 6-game injured list, which I found weird because it didn't look like he had an injury, but he is now on the injured list. So that, along with Davis Alexander, is just brutal for the Owls. So that's why they signed Cam Dukes, and they're going to be starting Caleb Evans in this next game. He played well in the second half. I think so. I mean, not too shabby. So we'll see what Montreal can do. It's going to be tough, but they still have a very good defense, and they're just hoping to get healthy right now at this point. The next tier, we have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the BC Lions. Consistency will be key. For Winnipeg, look, they faced Calgary 3 times already this year. They're tired of facing the Stampeders. They got swept in that season series. They faced BC already twice. That season series is over. Winnipeg won those 2. And then Toronto twice, which I think is 1-1. Look, they faced like 4 teams in their 8 games, with Edmonton being the other one. I think they faced them once. So outside of the Stampeders matchups, they are 4-1, right? So we're going to see what Winnipeg is in the next few weeks here as they face other teams in the league, or like the other half of the league. And they just need to be more consistent. Defense has been really struggling so far, especially with big plays, those deep passes down the field, kind of like with Toronto as well, with those deep balls. So trying to limit that will be key for Winnipeg. And then offensively, obviously going to Brady Oliveira, keep going to him. And those receivers, well, let's hope they can also take the next step, and maybe Winnipeg can go on a winning streak. It's not, it's not out of the realm of possibility. They've done it before. So, and then for BC, they, as I said last week, don't face another West Division opponent until mid-September. They got a lot of Eastern teams. So let's see if they can take advantage. I mean, the bottom of the East, we talked about it, Toronto. Ottawa, 2-game winning streak, so you never know. But time to, get some wins under your belt and take hold of that third spot in the West Division. Try to drop Winnipeg into 4th. It's going to be tough because they already lost the season series to Winnipeg, so that just adds an extra game that you're going to have to win. Let's see if they can do it. Going up to the next tier, we have the Hamilton Tiger Cats and the Calgary Stampeders. And I said breaking the streak. Both of these teams broke streaks this past weekend. For Hamilton, unfortunately, it was their winning streak that they broke. 6 games in a row. It went to overtime against the BC Lions, and Tim White unfortunately fumbled. BC recovered and only needed a field goal to win, which they got it. Sean White, automatic, and he, nailed it. So BC won that game, ended Hamilton's streak. And then for Calgary, they were coming off 2 losses in a row to Ottawa and Montreal. Going into that Winnipeg game, they were able to, get a game-winning field goal as well. Rene Paredes, ice in his veins, right down the middle from 40 yards out. And the Calgary Stampeders get a big win, because if they lost that game, it means Winnipeg would move to that number 2 spot in the West, and Calgary would now have some catching up to do. So it's good that they were able to get that win, and we'll see what they can do after their bye week next week. A big one against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are the top team in the tiers. Yep, time to double down. They are currently 7-1 at the moment, at the top of the West, leading by, I think, 2 games. But these next four are just going to be crucial for them because the second half of the year for Saskatchewan over the last few years hasn't been too kind to them. They've been on big losing streaks but under Corey Mace, I think they can still keep this going. And their next four, if you want to know, are Hamilton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Winnipeg. You know, that Labor Day back to back. So in these next four, you can double down and say, hey, we are the best team in the league. If you can go 3-1 in this stretch, maybe 4-0, it'd be crucial to win against the Stampeders since the season series is on the line. But we'll see what Saskatchewan can do and if they can double down on that 7-1 record. But that will do it for this edition of CFL Tiers. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now let's get to my quick picks for Week 11. The Thursday game, I got the Red Blacks getting the victory in Winnipeg. Yeah, for their third straight victory of the season. On Friday, I have the Elks getting the victory over the Argos. I don't know if Ryan Dinwiddie's comments will help this week. But, you know, hey, it could possibly. I'm not a predictions master or anything, but I got the Elks winning there. Tiger Cats and Rough Riders, give me the Saskatchewan Roughriders to win this game. That's going to be a really good one. And then the Alouettes travel to BC to face the Lions. I have the BC Lions winning that. So those are my predictions for Week 11. But I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time on the Red Zone Podcast. Peace.